Hello, 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 guys. How are you? Happy Sabbath, Sabata Elinche, Sabata Rakanaka. Anywhere you are, okay. Um, I'm so glad to be here with you. Okay, I'm so glad to be your host this afternoon. I'm so glad to be in a position to share this good news. I'm happy to share with all of you this waymark. See the change in the tone in that wording. It's called the waymark. I wouldn't call it the waymark. Yeah, because waymarks or signposts along a journey going to a major city, they do not go with you. Neither are they the reason why you began a journey. No, but waymarks are there to confirm that which have been believed, that which took you from where you came from until this point. They are there to affirm a belief and a faith. And this is the point why I am discussing this one more time. This is a prophetic event or moment that has come on us, and it's so huge that I want to keep quiet. I want to question myself and create doubt enough that I should shush and shut up and give chance to them who have gone to universities and colleges, seminaries. I want to give them the space. But you see, the problem is that this thing is huge enough that I cannot escape it. No, I cannot. I cannot. I just have to stay in. I just have to stand there. All right, and see how it will all end. All right. Yes. So um, I'm gonna discuss the great prophecy of all time, the great prophecy of all ages. You have heard about prophecy before. You have had people who predicted the future. I don't claim to be doing so, but I have this quest in me that say I am wrong. I want to agree with you. Should I be wrong in 2 years' time or 5 years' time? I will apologize. I will swallow my tail and sit down and say I was wrong. But if this thing be true, if it is true, by that time, you will not be anywhere in any position to access this message that I'm delivering today and try to scratch about to see what you can salvage and use to redeem your soul at that moment. It will not happen. Forget it. It will not. This is why my introduction is saying that a prophecy is not given that we should begin to repent or to change our ways. A prophecy is given to confirm, affirm that which we have believed. A prophecy is just like a signpost that says, welcome to Bulawayo, welcome to Sandton, welcome to New York. All right. Welcome to Belmont. I don't know which city you refer yourself to, but a signpost is just there to stand in your way and say, well done. You are left with 20 kilometers to go. That's the reason of a waymark or signpost. And prophecy is just a start, is a waymark that shows that you are home. You are almost home. All right. So this is what I'm discussing this afternoon. So um we just gonna go which the thing that I told you I'm gonna discuss then was the three great prophets. Today I'm gonna stick to my slides. Okay, today I'm gonna stick to my slides, no extras, no less. Okay, the great prophecies that have aligned, these are the prophets of Daniel, Ezra, and John the beloved. Yeah, and to 2000 days and nights. This is a prophecy of Daniel. He was called the highly favored by Gabriel. And the other prophecy that aligns with him is the three-headed eagle, the prophecy of Israel or Esdras. Many people, they don't know because this is from the apocryphal, okay, the books that we call them apocryphal. We don't want to read them, but exactly if these books were read by the disciples, okay, if the disciples were referring to these books, which then were not involved in the canonical Bible, the 66 books, then who are we to stand in the way and say, don't read this, don't read that? Israel was called blessed above many others by Uriel. Okay, Uriel was the angel sent, and he mentioned this. And then the last one is by Yohanan. Yohanan, John the beloved. John the beloved. And this is the prophecy in Revelation chapter 12. The woman clothed with the sun, moon, and the stars. John the beloved. He was called by the mighty angel. My question is, what is the probability of these prophecies coming together? What is the probability of these prophecies linking up together like this to mesh and speak at the same time? Yes, I might be wrong, but my question that I'm asking is, what is the probability that these three prophecies might speak at the same time, might come to one moment and agree? This is the point I'm calling all the scholars or the university professors or in the seminaries, in the universities of SDA or theologians, wherever you're coming. These prophecies have aligned. The proper understanding of this show us that we have come to that point, to the time of the end. And the title of my discussion is that Daniel longed to see this day. Daniel, Yahweh is the judge. He longed to see this day. So when Daniel got sick on his bed, his question was then, what is this thing? Whence is this thing? And he was told, go thy way, O Daniel. Stand in thy post, for this prophecy is not of your time, but it is of them who are coming of the future. And this is the time. It is come to the time. We have come to the time. Yeah. So the prophets of Yohanan, the woman clothed with the sun, the moon, and the stars. Yohanan the beloved. I love this name. They all have their titles, you know. If you read Revelation 1:3, blessed is he that readeth, that he hears the word of prophecy and keep those things which are written, for the time is at hand. So you get the flow. My argument that when you see a prophecy, understand that something that was being waited for, something long waited for, has come. So blessed is he who will keep those things which you have been keeping before. And prophecy is not for you to begin to repent. Sorry. Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 2 to 4. Write the vision and make it plain upon the tablets, and may he run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it will tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. It's like someone who is saying, have patience on a journey. Now it's 5 hours going to where you are going. Say, have patience. You will tarry in the bus, but you will get there. But the just shall live by faith. The just shall live by his emunah, his obedience to the word of Yahweh, his faith, his emunah. Ah, let's go. So I'm gonna start deliberating now. The little horn is a subject, an interesting subject I've been discussing all the time. I think now for more than a year. More than a year. Yes, that would be correct. I've been battling to make people stop in their tracks and look at this point that the little horn is not wrong. The little horn is not wrong. That is the point. And just a recap, I'm not discussing the little horn. I'm not going into the depths of the little horn that it is not wrong, but I'm just gonna give you a snippet of the whole story. I think this slide kind of summarize it. This summarizes everything. Okay, it summarizes the text that is inserted there. This is Daniel chapter 8, verse 22, 21, 22, and 23. Okay, so we have the rough goat. So the rough goat is the whole body of that goat. Okay, but the horn in front of it, which stands between his eyes, the horn there stands for the first king. So, what are we talking about here? When you see those horns, when you see all those horns in that picture, all those horns, count them as kings. This is Gabriel's cry and plea. When you see the horns of the animals in this picture, they all represent kings. So, in the ram that stands at the side, which had two horns, these were the Medes and the Persians. Specifically, what we are discussing, we're discussing Cyrus the Great, and we are also discussing Darius the Mede. Darius the Mede, who worked as a governor to Cyrus. Those are the two horns, and we have the horn of Grecia. Uh, the horn of Grecia, the first, that was Alexander the Great. He grew so strong, great, and he walked so great. But he broke by himself on his own, died. Alexander, not in the battle, okay, out of sickness. And out of him came four more. Yep, four more came. These were the generals who came. But out of one of those, uh, I like this image. You see, out of the four, out of one of the four, yeah, out of one of the four, we have the lead horn coming up. We have the lead horn coming up. So, if we want to discuss the time frame of the little horn, we cannot include the time where the book of Daniel, chapter 8, is crying that for how long shall these things be, the things that being done by the little horn, for how long shall they continue to happen? Is the cursed, is the cry. It's the cursed. Yeah, it is a quest. For those who want to do commentary, yeah, I think I have a stronger system here. Um, yes, I have a stronger application running. All right. So we have this moment. We have this chance to find the little horn when he begin. He is taken off from the kingdom of Grecia, specifically when these four come of age in their battles. They rive between one another. They fight between one another, and when they were fighting, okay, three of them are plucked at one moment and one remains. And when that one remains, we begin to count. The issue in Daniel chapter 8 is not finding the identity of the little horn. No. The issue in Daniel chapter 8 is not to find the identity of the little horn, but the time frame when it begin of the so-called little horn. So we kind of distort the interpretation and study by assigning an interpretative value to the little horn, because the actual fact we are supposed to understand from it, it's lost. Since if you say the little horn is Antiochus Epiphanes, yeah, the challenge would be that whatever is described of this horn is limited then to Antiochus Epiphanes. And the whole chapter then will be limited to Antiochus Epiphanes. Wrong. The second option was to, if you assign Rome to the little horn, what you do specifically, you then limit the interpretative value of the whole chapter of Daniel chapter 8 to the existence of Rome. And this is where it's very difficult to work with, because we have given an interpretative value to the little horn of Daniel chapter 8, where Gabriel had no intention to give such. Just treat it as a little horn. If he really wanted to identify the little horn as something, he would have done the same, because he did the same for Grecia and Medo-Persia. When he did this interpretation, some of them, it was more than 200 years before it happened. More than 200 years, he talked about the kingdom of Grecia, and he named the kingdom of Grecia. It was not failure by Gabriel not to assign an interpretative value to the little horn. He knew what he was doing. It's your philosophy and your theosophy that is making it difficult for you to understand what is given in the Holy Scriptures. All right? Yes. We'll go. A king of dark sentences. Yeah, so the phrase there we get in Daniel chapter 8, verse 23, that a king would come with fierce countenance and who understood dark sentences. So the dark sentences there, it is nothing but to say riddles, okay? A king who understands riddles and the hidden visions or concepts. He who understand the hidden riddles, okay, the hidden riddles. So these hidden riddles, then it's not something that is black magic or witchcraft. A king who understands witchcraft, no, he understands the times. He understands the concept of time and the end that is about to come. I don't know if you feel that which I am discussing, it's very difficult to comprehend this concept, to think that this man is discussing the end of time. No, not just is discussing the end of the time, but specifically mentioning when it is, because it is revealed in the scripture. And many they pass by as if this man is shouting to the air. I will continue. I have a duty to perform. I will perform it to my utter best, because I know this assignment has to be fulfilled. I need to fulfill my assignment. The watchman at the top. Daniel chapter 8:14, and the 2,300 days and nights Daniel chapter 8, verse 23. At the end, and in the later time of the kingdom, then the transgressors then the transgressors are come to full. So I tried to explain. There's this part which is very tricky. What does the Bible mean when the transgressors are come to full? Oh, so the later part of the verse is clear. A king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. Fine, but when the transgressors are come to full, well, what is that? What is that interpretation when the transgressors are come to full? Come with me. Okay. When the transgressors are come to full, I want to interpret to help you understand the interpretation. So the term used transgressors, if you go back to the concordance, what it means, the Hebrew in Hebrew, okay, so what it means is either to rebel or to revolt, to rebel or to revolt. So, in as much as it can be used for a transgressor is someone who rebel, they transgress the law of God. So it's in this phase, it is being used loosely. Or not this translation, it loosely translates the word pasha to transgressors, but it doesn't have a strong value or meaning in that. Okay, so sorry, my apologies. I will let me just do the needful with my sorry, so sorry. Yeah, I was supposed to have changed my okay, so there we go. All right, sorry for that technical error. My technical advisor did not advise me about this thing that would happen. Okay, so forgive me, but I know I'm forgiven already. Okay, so I was discussing the word pasha. Okay, so the word pasha in Hebrew, it refers to a rebel or a revolt. So a rebel or revolt, someone who comes against a government or an institution, an established system, is called a rebel or a revolt. But in a broad extent, when we discuss about people who sin against Yahweh, we call them they have transgressed the law of God. They have rebelled against God. So the concept of rebellion with the law of God is kind of far-fetched because rebellion it has some physical element to it. Okay, unlike transgression where you really nail it to say it refers to the concept of a law that is moral and divine, that maybe if we want to say is not tangible as we get to understand or perceive it. All right. So the correct words which should have been used for this the interpretation of this verse is a rebel or revolt. So the verse would be in the latter time of their revolts between one another, who the four generals in the later time of their revolts against one another, or when their revolts has come to the full or to the maximum extent, when they have fought one another to that peak point, what happens? Three of them would die in battle, okay, because of the of the revolts. And from that moment, then would be the king who will fierce understanding, who understands dark sentences. Plain, simple? I hope so. I come to full, I completed. Yep. So okay, then we have this Daniel chapter 7 and 8, just to put the sequential understanding that, and 3 had been uprooted completely, then comes the little horn. Okay, so Daniel 7 and Daniel chapter 8 are very linked. They are linked in the understanding of the little horn. They are linked perfectly. They are speaking of the same thing. And the fourth beast, I wonder why we have mentioned the fourth beast to be Rome. I don't have biblical evidence that says that the fourth beast is Rome. You don't. Don't tell me that because it came after Greece, then the fourth beast is discussing Rome. No, no, no. You are wrong. You are wrong. Because the dreadful beast is referring to something else. It was dreadful and unique. It was not like the earthly kingdoms, the three earthly kingdoms which Daniel in Daniel chapter 7 he have been describing before earlier on. This is something else. This is totally different ballgame. Okay. Which he discusses as the fourth beast. And rightly saying so, when you go to Revelation chapter 12, he's described and is given identity. These people knew who they were talking about. It was Leviathan. Isaiah chapter 27, it talks about this dreadful beast that comes out of water, Leviathan. And they say that Leviathan shall be destroyed in the end time. Don't think the guys who were writing this, they didn't know what they were talking about. They knew what they were talking about. It's you who has taken scriptures outside how they should be understood. All right. So the later part of this way of understanding is Esdras chapter 2, verse 12, 10 to 11. So this is the same material which they kicked out of the Bible. They said is apocryphal. We don't want it. Okay, they kicked it for whatever reason. They kicked it. I don't think so, because if in Esdras he is pointing us to the book of Daniel. No. There is something credible about these stories that we just need to investigate them. Okay, there is something credible about the story. We need to investigate them. Okay, and this is what I have been doing, investigating them. So, Second Esdras chapter 12, there's this part who says, "And he said unto me, and this the interpretation of the vision. The eagle whom thou sawest came up from the sea." So the eagle who is coming out of the sea, if you go back to the story, he has three herds. So this eagle is so with some who are studying, they're arguing that what exactly Israel is referring to as the eagle from the sea was actually Leviathan. Okay, it was Leviathan. It was the dragon that is referred to by Daniel in Daniel chapter 7, and the same as referred to in Revelation chapter 12. This concept where they would intermix the idea of an eagle to Leviathan, or the fiery serpent, or the flying serpent, the dragon who had wings. Okay, he looked from a distance like an eagle flying. All right. So, yep, this is one of the family of the tribes of the tribe of Dan. Okay, the tribe of Dan, on their banner, they had this Leviathan, or an eagle, a flying serpent, a furry serpent. It is one and the same thing. Okay, it's mixed up in the Bible. You just need to take some time to go into it to understand what he was talking about. But this is the point. Okay, the Leviathan coming out of the sea is the dragon, three-headed dragon. No. You see, the point that you need to understand is this: that in the book of Daniel, chapter 8, there's a part which says that the king of Grecia is the first king. There's a part which says that. So you need to calculate, well, where is this coming and where is this going? All right, this counting of the kings. So if you want to do all the kings in the previous slide that we did, the one that had the he goat and the ram, and also we had the he goat later with 4 horns, and then the 5th one. All right. So what you'd find that is you have 6, the ram, the he goat, and the 4 the four generals, and out of the 4 you have a single one. Okay, and what do you have in the end? You have 3 more. You have 3 more, and the 3 more are described by Ezra. So you go back to Daniel chapter 7, the dreadful beast. It is said that it had 10 horns, and then 11th horn appeared. That's the myths. He was not describing the Ostrogos, the Harundos, the Vagos, the Vandals, and that was not the point. I'm sorry to disappoint you. That was not the point. It was not the European nations. It's not it. You just lost it. Okay? So these are the 10 kingdoms, the 10 kings described by counting. Okay, I'll continue. Okay, so the 2300 days of Daniel chapter 8. Wow. This is it blows the mind, because if then if you do the math, okay, if you do the math, this is where I come in. Okay. Oh my gosh, I wish my teacher would stand and listen to this. When you do the math, this is where I come in. Okay, I do the math, especially of dark sentences or of riddles. I'm not the king understanding dark sentences or fierce countenance. No. I read riddles, and this is one of them. Okay, so it says, when you read in Daniel chapter 8, verse 23, the little horn only comes into existence at the moment when 3 are plucked out, are uprooted. When 3 are uprooted. So the 3 which are uprooted were uprooted in this year, or over a span of a year. If we look at it, they were uprooted over a span of a year, and exactly it is in 281 BC, or the uprooting culminates in 281 BC. These were the generals of Alexander. The generals of Alexander fighting one another in their battles, the rivals between one another. They're called the Diadoches, okay? So in the Diadoches, they come to the climax in 281 BC. When they do that, we come to a moment where we need to begin counting the time for the little horn. We need to begin to counting the time of the little horn. So I did the unto 2,300 days. Okay, from 281, it will take us to 2021st AD. Okay, to the 13th of March. That's where we get so we need to agree the Bible was written in a Jewish context. Okay, their way of counting years is based on the solar lunar calendar. So they combine both the sun and the moon observations for their years. Okay, and they are consistent. So their year, in this year, it would have started. Okay, so the new year would have started on the 13th of March. All right, so At this time, it is where the 2,300 days have ended. But what does it mean for them to end? It is from that moment now, at that moment, this is our moment where we are right now, that anything is going to be observed, but it has to be of a great magnitude or proportion that is not explainable by science and physics and geography. It is out of this world. It is out of proportion, out of human understanding, that which is about to hit us. Okay? We are past the 2,300 days now. So, if you have checked my profile, I am always talking about something that is beyond the human comprehension is about to happen, something that is beyond us about to happen, something is beyond us that is going to happen, something that would devastate the nations. So the thing is, the whole system as you see it now, doing the corona story, and then what and what they are trying to control, to put controls of mankind. Okay, to put controls of mankind, because when mankind is going to observe the truth, is going to see the truth that this which is happening is not of men, then they shall call upon the Yahweh. They shall look for Yahweh. And when they look for Yahweh, at that moment, then they shall see how they have been deceived. But alas, by that time, there will be controls heavy enough that even if they would want to repent, they will not. The system will grind them, from the moment of their desire to repent or to do that which is right before Yahweh. And they will not. They will have submitted their rights. They would have submitted their freedom of choice. The freedom of religious liberty would have been submitted for what? For ecological right, for ecological movements. They would have been they would have submitted their freedoms because of what? Because of an epidemiology experiences which are unfounded, and also an induced financial catastrophe. Okay, because as it is now, we are reeling. We haven't seen it, but it is coming, a financial catastrophe of unobserved magnitudes. We have never seen such magnitudes of hunger that's gonna come. But it's gonna come. Our time is coming. Now, someone was asking me and said, "Man, you said the 200, 300 days are past. Then what? Then what?" Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. They are coming. But soon, when they are calling peace, 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 peace amongst themselves, then suddenly, there's gonna be destruction. No, I saw the destruction. This destruction is of this magnitude. I saw big and tall buildings. They were washed away and corroded as litter being pushed by running waters. No, I saw them. Even if they tried to lift flights into the sky, they tried to put flights and escape. The aircraft are going to be sucked down into the holes. They will not say, no one will escape who is meant not to escape. But those who had found favor, those who have found favor, I will have favor, and whom I will have favor. Those whose names are written in the book of life, now they shall glide as if they have wings. They shall fly. They shall beat to the point of refuge, to the lands of refuge. Yeah, I've seen the lands of refuge also. Okay, So yeah, the story now it culminates, and it's gonna end. So according to Daniel chapter 8, and then Daniel chapter 12. So the last, if you look into my slide there, you'd find that the 2,300 days would expire. After they've expired, you go to Daniel chapter 12. Daniel chapter 12, I think from verse 11, he actually says that when the time of the abomination of desolation is set up or is complete, there is going to be a 1,290 days. Okay, and this was one which I was corrected. I was trying to discuss this. I was corrected one time when I was studying this, that it would be limited to 1,260 days. Okay, but then we will see as we journey what will happen. And then after that, you read Daniel chapter 12, it says, blessed is he who would come to the 1,335 days. You put that all that into perspective, it will land you in the June of 2027. What normally comes around this time? You know what normally comes around this time is the Pentecost. Is around this time normally what comes is the Pentecost. Okay, it's the Pentecost in that time, but it is the Pentecost, and soon after we would be preparing to go into the Feast of the Trumpets, where we're gonna take a month of fasting, or of being reminded that that time is coming, that time is coming, that time is coming, that time is coming, the time where the king is going to be enthroned, or the king will receive his kingdom according to the kings of the house of David of Judah, or the kings of the house of Judah. When they would come into office, they were this is what would happen to them. They would receive or be ordained as the rightful heir, all right, any time of the year, but they would rightly so when they received the book of the law. Yeah, when they received the book of the law, they would rightly do so. Right, so this is the point. I pray, keep the system, please keep the system running. I know something is happening, something is happening, something is not right. Okay, something is not right, but then let's push. I will go into the second segment. All right, I'm going into the second segment. Yes, my system is going down. Please keep it running. Okay, please keep it running, keep it running, keep it running, keep it running, keep it running. Sorry, my system is going low. Yep, I observed that early. Please keep it running. Gentlemen, we are on business. Keep this thing running. Okay, so now we are on the second, we are on the Revelation chapter 12, the part two. Okay, the part two, the one that was given by Yohanan, the beloved. Yeah, by Yohanan, the beloved. Uh, please, 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 please. We are actually keep this thing going. All right. Let me continue. Hopefully it's recording, so people can then later on they can revisit and you know, then they will have what shall we do? We pause for a moment. All right. So let's do it this way. I think I have a problem, some challenge with my Wi-Fi. I have a problem with my Wi-Fi, but then okay. Yeah, I think we're good. We're good. We up and running. Okay, we're good. So thank you. Revelation chapter 12, part 2. Revelation chapter 12. Now we are talking of Yohanan, the beloved. I love this one. I enjoy this one. Okay. Yohanan, the beloved. Okay. Yohanan, the beloved. What did they talk about? So Yohanan, he in Revelation chapter 12, I know so many people from the seminaries, they kind of come, let's say, no, this is it's going back to the birth of Jesus, and then it's gonna kind of get away. Okay, you're wrong. This is not talking about Yeshua. This is not talking about Yeshua, about the Messiah. No, this is not about Yeshua. This is where the problem is by people who saying the revelation of Jesus Christ, as in the scripture is talking about, is supposed to bring Jesus Christ out of it. It's supposed to bring Yeshua Messiah. It is called Yeshua the Messiah. Okay, it's not talking about Yeshua the Messiah as him part of the history. It is him who is giving the story to those who are invited to the wedding. The revelation of Yeshua. Yeshua is giving the message to those who are invited, who have been invited to the wedding feast. So it is an invitation to prospective heirs of the kingdom. So the issue, it is a letter. All right, it is a letter. I'm sorry about what I just did, but it is a letter that is inviting people to a wedding. Exactly what is it? It is an invitation brochure. The book of Daniel, of Revelation. It is an invitation brochure that is telling that when you see the sign, so the brochure is saying, Revelation chapter 12, verse 1. The brochure is saying at 7 a.m. At 7 a.m., those who would be gathered should be at the venue. Those who would be gathered should be at the venue of the wedding. It's a wedding brochure. And he is saying that a son is about to be born in this cosmic drama. Okay? So, which son is this? The son who is being born. Which son is being born? Isaiah chapter 6. I'm going to repeat it. Yeah, can Zion give birth to a male child? Shall he give a birth to a nation? O Zion, be comforted, Jerusalem. Be comforted, Jerusalem. Jerusalem, be comforted, for Zion in one moment shall give birth to a nation. For men shall be born, men who shall rule with an iron rod. It is he who will give them the iron rod to rule with him. For he has called us his brothers and sisters. The great sign that is seen. You shall see a woman, 12 stars. The 12 stars that you see are the 12, the star of Yavud, of Leo, the house of kingship. All right. So now what is talking about it is that if you do cosmology and understanding, I don't do those horoscope and stuff. Okay, this is no, I don't do that. So that's the part where you understand that this thing, what is describing, okay, it is describing the it is describing the sign that is talked about in the book of Revelation. I like the insight. It is beyond me. I guess you can also extend and say it is beyond me also. You know, you and me, it should say that it is beyond me. Voila. I mean, all right. So in the open night, what is really seen is, if you check on your screen, all right, I hope you view it as I view it. But if you're looking on your screen, the right part, the right side, so there are three slides in this one picture. Okay, all I was trying to do is to show you what was observed in the night sky. Okay, what was observed in the night sky on the 23rd of uh 2017. I told somebody this and they laughed. The laugh was like, "You crazy stupid bastard, get away from here." you know they laughed and remained quiet. But then what I do, ignorance is ignorance mocks the bearer of the ignorance. Okay, so to the left side is what is observed. You see the yellow line that arcs connecting. So this is what those uh, who study the cosmology, the cosmos. These are the things that fascinates them when stars align. Okay, when stars align in certain parts. So all these stars, they move in a radial shape. Okay, they make a circular shape above us. All right. So when they do that, they because each star has got its own path, its way it makes a radial path. But they understood that when certain stars would align, it signified something. And you go to Genesis, it says, "For he gave us the stars and the sun and the moon for signs and wonders." What are the signs and wonders? Have you ever asked yourself that? No, I bet you never. Psalms 19, he says, "For the heavens proclaim the glory of God. Night after night, they speak wisdom." What wisdom is there? Huh? You don't know. I bet your pastor has never opened a mouth to speak of night after night. There is wisdom. The wisdom of the night they never speak about. You know why? They don't know about it. They speak philosophy and drama and verbal pornography is what they give you. Verbal pornography is what they give you in your congregations. And you just swallowing, and people say, "Amen, amen, amen." This is what you want. This is what people want, to be tantalized in their mind. Talking about marriages, family life, as if they're really concerned about family life. The one who solves family life issues is the one I'm talking about. If you see his way, if you see his way, even if you're a father, you cannot do that which you are doing now that gives problem to your family. You need to see him first. You need to see his way, discover his path in the sanctuary. Then you would see. But you're not teaching people to find the ways of the Messiah. Hence, they are trying to solve their family matters by themselves from a distance. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. It will not work. I loved this one. Then another wonder. He saw another wonder. Huh? And people think that so excuse me for that. Another wonder appeared in heaven. So I don't know why all those universities as big as Andrews University, Solus from where I'm coming from, all those universities, why don't they stop in their tracks and say the dragon in Revelation chapter 12 has been described as the old serpent, the devil and Satan himself? If it has been described like that, what is the problem in saying Daniel chapter 7, the fourth beast represents Rome? What is the problem in that? Because this one is clear. Why don't they stop in their tracks and ask this question? Oh, they're trying to protect the past theologies that they started teaching long back. You see, to be true, to be righteous, does not mean that you know everything, but is that you are willing to learn every day. If you're not willing to learn every day, then we have a challenge, we have a problem. Somebody should be willing to learn every day, even an institution, even an organization. So, this is my point. You cannot ask for reformation, revival, and reformation from a group of people when the institution itself does not want to reform, to revive. You cannot seek to change the fortunes of a country when the country policies themselves are not being changed. No, I'm not venturing into politics. I'm giving an example. You want the people in a country to start buying the idea of being entrepreneurs, using their money to start small businesses. If you want them to do that, okay, to reform in the way they see things, the first thing that you have to do, you need to reform the instruments that govern entrepreneurs in your community. You cannot ask for a revival and reformation when the organization, when the institutions, institutionalized beliefs and doctrines are not going to be changed. How can you achieve revival and reformation? How are you talking revival and reformation? We're going to have a week of revival and reformation. What are you reforming from? What are you changing from to? Or you're just regurgitating the vomit of yesterday? And you say we are doing revival and reformation. How is revival reformation possible if an institution, if an organization is not willing to budge into understanding the new teaching, doctrine? Change should happen for revival and reformation to happen. You want revival and reformation? Change the doctrine. Change the doctrine, and you will get the revival and the reformation. If you don't change any of these, how then do you expect the system to change? Revelation chapter 12. So my take is from September of 2017. Yeah, that's the chart there. All right. Then you're going to have, so you calculate Revelation chapter 12. There are 3 dates that are given. Okay. There's 1,260 days. Okay. And then you have a time, times, and half a time. And then you have 42 months. You're 42 months. All right. So the point was this, that from 2017 to March of 2021, the Zion was in the process of gathering her own who are to be born. They were gathering them, listing them, and putting them in safe positions. Their hearts were being sealed to the truth that have been given, that have been known. So you see, the point is, these people, they are with us today, but you can see them, you can even find faults in them, but what the Spirit has done with them is that He has given them something that they are willing to take with them even to their grave. They have seen something differently, they speak differently. They're not ashamed. They're asking questions, questioning even institutions themselves, because they have seen the truth. So says Ellen White in the book The Great Controversy, when she said that the reformers, when they started to study the Bible, they didn't have an intention. The reformers, when they studied the Bible, they didn't have an intention to leave their churches. That was not their initial intention, but just to find the truth in them. But however, when they found the truth, they found that it was not compatible. They would propose it to the institutions, but the institutions were not willing to hear them. Neither were they willing to change because of the things that they had observed. For example, the just shall live by faith, Martin Luther. He had an idea that he should, if you see the 95 Theses, the 95 Theses were never a rebuke to the system. The 95 Theses were given in a way to reform the Catholic Church from inside. Martin Luther and the 95 Theses, which were known on the door in the Wittenberg Castle Church. Okay, Wittenberg Castle. Yeah. His aim was to reform the institution from inside. But however, the idea grew so big that it was not even safe for himself and for his mind to stay within. And he had to walk out. I battled with this idea until I had to make my move. But just be an institution that said, hey, why can you not just walk away from us and start your own thing? That is a kind of bad institution. Just walk away and start your own thing. I said, what kind of people are these? What manner of speaking is this? Are you even safe yourself in such an institution where people are told that if you want to walk away, just walk away, brother. Just walk away and don't have problem with us, okay? I'm just point of note. All right? Point of note. I'm just pointing to something. All right? Yes. Then we have the part 3. Okay. So the part 3 is the triple-headed eagle by Ezra. Okay, part 3. So this is where I was telling you that what they called the eagle, it was it could also have been viewed as Leviathan. Leviathan was the dragon from the sea. All right. So Leviathan is in those class of the fiery serpents. Okay, the fiery serpents, the ones where Moses lifted up his rod in the desert. Those were not like snakes which moves with the belly of the stomach. They had wings. They flew. Okay, they were fiery serpents. They were of the descendants of the Leviathan. Okay, the Leviathan from the sea was a great dragon. Okay, but seen from a distance looks like a flying bird or an eagle. But in this case, John is given it had a triple head, three heads. All my discussions from John and Daniel, where they become so intricate is that one Esdras, he mentions Daniel, and specifically in the same vision which Esdras is being given as an extension of the vision of Daniel. So why are we not given the access to study this, to look into this? The triple-headed eagle. All right. So see what happens. Esdras. We're just gonna read this one, yeah, and then you will see what's the story. Esdras chapter 12, verse 10 to 11. What is interesting, yeah, I've given that summary. All right. And you also find how Esdras, in this case, he is linking to the book of Daniel, just as Yeshua did in Matthew chapter 24, verse 15. All right. Yeshua pointed that if you understand what was written by Daniel the prophet, so have understanding. Okay. And Esdras is saying that from what was given to Daniel, this was an explanation or an extension of that teaching. And this is what he gave. All right. Let's read. So the vision of the three-headed eagle starts from a point, some point far off. Okay, I didn't take the whole vision. You can read it. It's a long thing, but there's a part which I want because it links then whatever the three-headed eagle. It links the three-headed eagle to Daniel and to John. This is the part where I wanted in that three-headed vision, the vision of the eagle with three heads. As for the voice which thou heardest to speak, so Uriel was the angel. Just in the case of Daniel, Gabriel was coming to explain to him. So Esdras, he has an angel who comes or who ministers to him. His name was called Uriel. So Ariel, okay? Uriel. I don't know. Please forgive me, okay? Forgive me for how I'm going to pronounce it. So Ariel was coming to Esdras and giving him explanation of the three-headed eagle vision. So there's this part which Ariel is giving interpretation to what it meant. Listen, as for the voice which thou heardest speak, and that thou sawest not to go out from the heads, but from the midst of the body thereof. This is the interpretation. So this kind of gives a perspective to the little horn. Okay, this kind of gives a perspective to the little horn. What exactly is the little horn? What is the picture of the little horn? Who, the one that speaks words which even reaches up to the Most High. What is the little? Who is the little horn? Okay, when you read now Esdras, he's saying that the voice was coming from the midst and not from the heads per se, the heads of this eagle, but from the midst, from the body of it. It was the constituent, resounding oneness or purpose of this eagle, that it came by actions, by teaching, or by thought that it was against the Most High. It did not speak, but in action, it did made its damage. That after the time of that kingdom, there shall rise great striving, and it shall stand, halala. Now listen, and it shall stand in peril of failing. So that after the time of that kingdom, they shall arise great striving. So the great striving, and it shall stand in peril of failing. Hmm. So the one who is speaking great words, okay, is one kingdom which speaks from within. Listen to this. After that, the kingdom of the time of that kingdom, there shall arise great striving. The French Revolution, the rise of the autumn Bismarck, okay, and it shall stand in peril of failing. So the strife which brought sort of like the peril to failing was actually the French Revolution. Nevertheless, it shall not then fall, but shall be restored again to his beginning. Ha 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 ha. You listen to that statement? Does it sort of like seem as if it's talking to something else? Yes, it does. It does. You are correct. Revelation 17. I will get there. All right. Nevertheless, it shall not then fall, but shall be restored again to his beginning. It shall be restored back. Listen to this now. And whereas thou sawest that, thou sawest the eight, thou sawest the eight small under feathers sticking to her wings. This is the interpretation. So this eagle has so many feathers. Okay, so if you go and read this part, you find it is so many feathers, which refers to these are the small kings in their time, or the popes, or what before. So if you go back, you will find there are so many. But the interesting part is how he narrows the discussion to these eight little feathers. Listen what he talks about, these eight little feathers. This is where it becomes very, very interesting. And he says that the eight small feathers sticking to her wings, this is the interpretation. What? Listen to this. That in him they shall arise. So this is after the restoration. After the restoration, then I will explain later now that in him they shall arise eight kings, whose times shall be but small, and their years swift. Listen to this last point. And the two of them shall perish, the middle time approaching. And the two of them shall perish, the middle time approaching. Four shall be kept until their end begin to approach, but two shall be kept unto the end. So these are eight kings. Listen, it's going to be interesting. Just stay with me and see the following slides. He is saying that this king which speaks, the kingdom which speaks great from its belly, okay, because of great strife that is going to come, the French Revolution, the kingdom that speaks out of its belly, this is the universal church, the Roman Catholic. When it did its things, it did so wonderful and persecuted people. This is in history. I'm not defaming anyone. Neither is it my intention to defame anyone or any organization, but I'm pointing to history, because it is history that gives knowledge to the future. It is history that creates the wisdom for the future. Okay, so I'm just gathering the facts of history. So it is the Roman Catholic Church which persecuted the reformers, and it is the one that came up changing the Council of Nicaea 325 AD, when they sit down to change, create gods and new teachings, changing times and creating the doctrines of the fathers. For example, the baptism, the Lord's Supper, the Trinitarian God, all these come from the Catholic Genesis, the Council of Nicaea, the Christmas, the Ishtar, the observance of the birth of Christ, as in 25 December, the commemoration of pagan rituals and Christianizing them. All this, he spoke from the belly. It was the universality of the organization. So when they had done that, they persecuted the reformers. But the strife of the French Revolution, the French Revolution, what it did, it took the Pope in Rome in 1798. Yeah. It took the Pope of Rome. I think I have the history here. It took him to no, sorry, let me just go back a little. Where am I? I was here. Okay, all right, sorry. So the Pope in Rome was taken captive and he died in a prison somewhere else there. The church at that moment was not in existence. They were running it in underground. Yes, they assigned popes from 1798, but it was not official. It did not operate as it did before. Okay, it was not a legal entity. They reigned, but not an illegal entity. Okay, they were an underground constitution, institution, only to be restored to their position in 1929, when Mussolini and the bishop in Rome, they signed a pact, okay, to reinstate the sovereignty of the Vatican City. This, it was restored. But when he was restored, he's saying, they will come 8 wings. Of the 8 wings, 2 are going to die at the same time. The other 4 are going to die later in their time of reign. And the other 2 are not going to die, but they shall go into perdition. They will come to the end of time. This makes them 8. Are you ready to see them? Are you ready to see this thing that I am discussing? Come with me. Yeah. So Esdras 2:12 verse 18, after that time, after the time of that kingdom, they shall rise great striving, the French Revolution, and it shall stand in peril of falling. 1798, Pope is taken captive. Nevertheless, it will not fall all this time, but shall be restored again to his beginning. 1929, the Vatican City is signed officially a sovereign state. That's what Ezra talked about. Listen to Revelation 17. The beast that thou sawest was and is not, that was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wander, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. These guys are speaking the same thing. This is the same language. Listen how it ends. I put a comparison here. Okay, I put a comparison for you. So the peril of falling, but will not fail, shall be restored again. Was and is not, and yet is, and goes into perdition. Ha 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 ha. We told in Ezra that the 2 of the kings shall go into perdition. 8 small under feathers, which are 8 kings. 8 kings in Esdras. Listen to Revelation 17. The 7 herds are but 7 kings, and the 8th king is of the 7th. But in total, how many are they? 8 of them. They are speaking the same language. Listen to this. 2 kings shall be kept unto the end. This is what Esdras said. And listen to Revelation 17. He says, the 7th and the 8th goeth into perdition. 2 goes into perdition. I mean, every time I want to give up on this prophecy, anytime I want to be a commoner like everybody else, this thing hits my heart. It's like charcoal in my heart. This is true. These things have happened. I'm not discussing things which have not. These have happened. Listen, I will show you then the end of it, that we have come to the end exactly. So the comments in blue, these are the parts which differentiate these 2 gentlemen, Ezra and John. So Ezra has this to say: 2 shall perish, middle time approaching. 2 shall perish, middle time approaching. That's a fact. We're going to investigate that. Revelation, he says, 5 are fallen, 1 is. The 6th appears at the time the woman is bedding the beast. I love this. Wait, I'm going to show you. See, the 2 of them shall perish, the middle time approaching. I love this part, Uriel. Uriel and Gabriel. How dare you say Uriel and Gabriel did not interpret correctly? How dare you say that? How dare you say that Gabriel failed to interpret Daniel chapter 8 and he needed to come 11 years after in chapter 9 to interpret? It is you who are wrong. You and your fathers, you and your church and your professors. It is you who are wrong. Study again. Gabriel and Uriel, the great main angels of heaven. These guys stand in the planetaries. They pass the stars of heaven, the sun and the moon. And you want to come and tell me that Gabriel failed to explain to Daniel chapter 8? You and your father's house. Okay, sorry for my ranting. My apology. Fact. Okay, from the time is restored, there shall be 8 kings. 2 shall perish middle point, and 2 shall live to the end. I'm investigating this one. Let's come with me. The recap, I'm not going to do it. All right, so this is the interesting part. Voila, this is the interesting part. 7 June 1929 becomes an important date in my time. What happened? So 7 June 1929. This is when this is the restoration of the Vatican, the Catholic Church. Okay, this is the restoration. Now they have been restored. Now they are now they are a sovereign state. Okay, listen to this. Listen to this. Listen to this. Now we need to find the 2 kings or 2 pope who die at the same time. Is it possible? Have you heard about that thing? Have you ever heard about that thing that there were 2 pope who died on the same time, at the same time? I guess you never heard. All right? I guess you never heard. Listen to this, because Ezra, he talked about it and he said that is an important time because the middle point is the following year, is the following time approaching. Time and times, these are years. Okay, so it's the following time is the next year that is approaching. Okay, and listen, church, 1978. Go to history. This date, I got it on BBC. It is actually called the extraordinary year of 3 popes. In 1 year, the Catholic Church had 3 popes in office. 3 popes. Why? Because 2 It is not possible for them to have two popes uh, alive at the same time. Okay, so the other one would come just as the other one dies. Okay, it's a replacement issue. All right, so listen to this. See what happened. 1798. All right, we have one pope dies, another one is in place, is it gets into office. He dies within 1 month from the first one who dies, and from him another one gets into office. So you will have three popes in 1 year. The good thing is it is two which die at the same time. The middle point, according to Ezra, is the next or the following time. It is the next year that follows. And this is where now these are the three popes which happened in 1978. Okay, 1978. These three pope. I'm giving you. This is evidence-based history. I'm not defaming nobody. It is history that gives intelligence to the future. Now we are starting with perspective. We seeing things for what they are. Listen, see this. So, on the 6th of August, 1978, Pope Paul the Sixth, he passes on. All right. So when he passes on, all right, they put in place Pope John Paul the First. All right. So Pope John Paul the First, he dies on the 28th of September, 1978. All right. When he dies, all right, there's so much conspiracy towards that, but I'm not into that. What I want is the history and the figures thereof. Okay. So on the 16th of September, Pope John Paul II is elected to be the Pope. So in 1978, we have three popes coming into office. But what are we looking for according to the book of Ezra? That there should be two who die at the same time, okay? Because the next year that follows is the middle point. If you didn't say what, you are not listening to me. If this doesn't shake you and you're like, man, say again, say again. If it doesn't say that to you, you're not comprehending this prophecy, what it is talking about. You're not. 1979 now is the Jewish year, begins around end of March to begin to the beginning of April. This becomes the middle according to Esdras, second Esdras chapter 12 verse 21. So the middle point could be the whole year, or it could be the transition from the last day of this year going into the first day of this year. That could be the middle point. Okay, so I cannot say what, okay, but I can just throw them into the future so that we see together. All right, so let's do the math. Okay, let's do the math. We know when the church was reinstated, 1929, June 7. Okay, it was reinstated. And now we have been told that two will die before the midpoint. So from the time of restoration to the midpoint, we can calculate how many years are there. Okay, because that's the midpoint. That's where we find the midpoint. So if that is the midpoint, then we will just flip the amount of years to the 1979 into the future. Then we are going to get the other half, which takes us to perdition. When I was studying this one, I was so anxious. I was anxious. I was like, is it gonna work? Is it correct? Is it gonna match? Will Daniel and John, will they agree with Ezra? I'll tell you, the study was like swift, like papers were going like a machine. It was like switch, calculate, and guess what? And guess what? They come like a jigsaw, like this, like a jigsaw. They mesh like machines of a gear, or of they mesh like gears of a machine of time that is come. So what I did was I calculated the years from 1929 to 1979. Then I found there were 48 years. Then I had to calculate 48 years from 1979 to plus 48 hours. And guess what I came to? I came to 2027. 2027. So after I came to 2027, I went back to Daniel. 2,300 days plus 290 plus 1,335. They come to 2020. I asked John the Beloved, from the time the sign is seen in the sky, and you have 1,260 days, plus a time and half a times, plus the 42 months. You know what they come to? 2027. So it's either I'm wrong. All right. So see, after those these now are the Pope. Yeah, I'm gonna give them all of them to you now. So we saw the three which existed in 1978. Okay, three of them, and then from so these now I'm running all of them from 1929. So 1929, the Pope who was there is Pope Pius the 11th. Okay, Pope Pius the 11th was followed by Pius the 12th, and then Pope John the 23rd. Okay, and then Pope John Paul the 6th. Okay, Pope Paul the 6th. Okay, and then these are four. These are four. I said four. Yes, these are four. So we need to go to the 8 wings, because 8 wings take us to perdition. 8 wings take us to perdition. 8 wings take us to perdition. So these are the 4 wings, the first of the 8. These are the last 4. All right. So what do we have? We have Pope John Paul the First, 1978. This gentleman, his demise was very sad. Okay, he wouldn't last even a month in office. Okay, so Pope John Paul the First, he dies. All right, and then we have Pope John Paul the Second. I think one of the popes who had the longest tenure. All right, after Restoration, he was the longest. Okay, from 1978 to 2005. All right, Pope John Paul, he passes away, and then comes Pope Benedict. Pope Benedict the 16th. Okay, Pope Benedict the 16th. So Pope Benedict the 16th, he's the 7th Pope. He did not die, but he resigned. When he resigned, it makes him a living Pope, while Pope Francis, who is the one in office, and Pope Benedict, these two are still alive as we speak. This makes 8 kings, just as Ezra said, just as Revelation says. Do you feel me? Do you feel me? There will be 8 kings. 2 shall die, middle point approaching. 4 shall have their office and die in their tenure, but 2 of them will not die, but they will march into perdition. They will go into perdition. These two gentlemen, these two gentlemen, they lead the church into perdition. Pope Benedict the sixth, he resigned, but he's alive. Pope Francis, the current pope, he is alive. Both of them are alive. And Esdras says that two of them will be alive when the perdition shall come. Folks, we are at it. We are at it. This is our time, the times of the end. Even myself, I don't really comprehend what I'm talking about, but I am convinced and believe that this is true. All right. So Pope Benedict and Pope Francis, these two gentlemen, are alive as we speak. Yes, quite colorful. The picture they have there. But it is biblical prophecy that speak, not me. I'm just gathering the facts and putting them on paper. And here they are, the gentlemen who will lead us into perdition. All right. Five are fallen and one is. Now this is a revelation. All right. So the five who are fallen and one is this period of the fifth. So you kind of talking about so this is so okay, let me start from here. So these five gentlemen are this first four, okay, and then five would be Pope John Paul the First is the first. So he is saying five are fallen. Listen to this now. Listen to this. So it is the Spirit that gives wisdom and understanding. Listen to this. Thank you. Five are fallen. Okay? When the five are fallen, and the sixth one is. So who is the sixth one? The sixth one was Pope John Paul II. So at what time is John writing this? No. Listen, this is where I said, bring your pastors and your professors in university. They need to learn. They need to learn in the class of the spirit of prophecy. So what the interpretation, the sixth is what John was saying. The sixth is, it is in the reign of the sixth king that we are going to find the apostasy of the woman. Does that hit you? Yeah, it does. It has to. It is in the reign of the sixth king that the woman, the church, would apostatize. Huh? This is the moment, the Revelation chapter 17. This is the moment at which John is saying the sixth is. Which moment? Where he saw in the wilderness the woman sitting with the beast. And the woman, what was she doing? She was in service to Babylon. For she had a placard written on her forehead, Babylon, Babylon the Great. That's what the Bible is talking. The sixth is, what time is the is? It is the time of the perverted woman, the church that moves away from the truth and it goes and works in service to the beast. And exactly what is it? This is the church. Now I want to accuse my roots by this. I want to accuse my roots by this. This is the time when the Seventh-day Adventist lost its credibility. The Seventh-day Adventist lost its credibility during the tenure, the era of Pope John Paul II. It lost all credibility. It is in this that Ellen White spoke and says that she saw a time that would come when they shall pull down our banners, and books, different books of different agendas shall be written, and these books shall speak against the foundations of the church. In 1980, we adopted the Trinitarian doctrine, and so many books were written. This is where we had the men like Samuel Bakyoki, the known and proclaimed Jesuit in the church, and they wrote books, so many books they wrote, and they were published under the leadership of the church. And I like the one guy who I saw some time back on YouTube. His name was called, he was a Jesuit who was saying that Seventh-day Adventists, they'll be shocked because their church is already given up. It's not run in the general conference, as they say, as they think. It's not run there, okay? It's run somewhere else in New York. He said that. He said that. He said he did say that. Okay, so it is this time where the last of the Protestant, let me say it this way, the last of the Protestant or Protestantism, Protestantism, all of it collapsed. This is the moment under Pope John Paul II where we have the Union Council of Churches, being instituted. This is where the economical movement gained its strength. All right. This is the time, I remember 1998 when they held their council meeting in Harare. You know, this is where I come from. So I remember it is under this 1995 church changes its banner. The Seventh-day Adventist changed its banner from the three angels message to the economical movement logo. You know, the one with an open Bible and a globe that is under flames with a cross, whether inverted or standing. It's not my point, but then it already compromised. And the problem is people who don't see it and who sit in the pews and are calling that stay in the boat, stay in the boat, stay in the boat. Which boat, brother, are you inviting people to stay on? Even Ellen White in 1903, she says that she was given that to say in a vision where she was narrating that she saw many of our church people who were garbed in robes, and when she looked at them, she had this admirable emotion of them, but she was told that look under the garments, open up under the garments and see how filthy rags were covered in there, and there was nothing to be proud of. I'll tell you, Ellen White, she died in misery because she knew what was coming, that the church was going into apostasy. The church was going to apostasy. And when the church was going to apostasy, she even made a call out that a time is going to come where people have to study by themselves because the church will not hold the truth. She even says this, that many shall be baptized to join the ranks, but alas, at the moment when they shall do that, they will be joined to be baptized to condemnation. You didn't hear that. You didn't read that. No, your pastor cannot read that for you. No, they claim that, and I've heard some people saying that Brother Abraham doesn't believe in Ellen White. I do believe in Ellen White. No, I don't believe in Ellen White. Yes, you're right. I don't believe him. I believe in Yahweh. Okay, but I also believe Yahweh sent Ellen White as a prophet. Okay, so I read her writings. There is wisdom in them, but I believe in Yahweh. I believe in God. I believe in Almighty. I believe in Elohim. Yahweh, Yahweh, Jehovah is the one I believe in. All right? So Protestantism, all of it, collapsed during the reign of Pope John Paul II. If you didn't know, this is why he is significant, why he has to be significant. Pope John Paul II. And what happens thereafter? We have two. The seventh, who also has another seventh who comes, okay? But between them, they constitute the seventh and the eighth. The two gentlemen here. So I hope you understood the concept of five are fallen and one is. The one is, when is the one is? All right. This is not during John's time, John's the 1st century, John writing at the Patmos. No. This is not John's at Isle of Patmos writing. When he's saying the one is, he's not referring to that. He's saying one is at the moment of the woman's apostasy. When Protestantism is totally destroyed, the woman goes 100% into apostasy. Yeah. So we have there Sabbath School Quarterlies written by Jesuits, the Invitation Commentary by Catholics, bishops of Methodist, and all of them in their ranks. Okay. So the World Council of Churches pushed the ecumenical agenda they won. With this, many churches were infiltrated, books of different orders were written, and doctrines severely altered. Church banners were unified to an ecumenical agenda. The time has come in which our fathers hope to see the redemption of our people. The time has come in which our fathers hoped to see the redemption of our people. Let me say, this is the time that Daniel longed and prayed for, the emancipation of his people. The 2300 days have come to pass. And Revelation chapter 12 and chapter 17 supporting. Okay, I've dealt with that. The book of Esdras talking about the beast that shall fall for a time to exist underground, but it shall come from the bottomless pit. And there we go. Let's do the math. And this is the end. This is season finale. It takes a lot of my energy to do this, but I hope you can spend just your time to listen, because you didn't do nothing. What are you going to sacrifice? I am asking you to sacrifice your time, right? To just listen, to go through this, get a point by point and ask questions. All right, ask questions, and even you can contact me. All right, just contact me and we can have discussions. Time is no more, time is no more. We just at that brink of time. It's like we are done. I fear to give this conclusion, but I know it's true. We have run out of time so much that even as I speak now, even as I speak now, even as I speak now, the doors of mercy could maybe already closed. I know not, but I still speak the word of encouragement. I'm not sure, but I still speak the word of encouragement that we might be unctioned in our hearts. We might be drawn to desire to find in our hearts that which says the Lord, that which the word say is true, that which the word say is true. Shalom, shalom. I am finished. I'll tell you the truth. I am done. I've finished my discussions. I want to go, but my heart is heavy because people are not going to believe it. Even when they have heard it, they're not going to believe it. It is written. They're not going to believe it. Revelation chapter 9. They're not going to believe it. Even when they have heard, they're not going to believe it. But still, I shall speak to give evidence that the witness took his time, spent his time to speak. But some were so busy with their jobs. Some were so poor to sacrifice time for data when they were busy going to the movies. It should be spoken that some had just gotten married and they didn't have time for the speaker. Some preferred to watch movies than to listen to him. They said he spoke for too long a time. Why don't you just speak 1 minute and sit down? I'm here to speak as a witness that you shall bear the witness in your heart, in your mind, that I did not follow, I did not hearken to the word as he spoke. I speak so that there would be evidence that the church is denied to listen to this. They said, we would rather chuck one guy out of the church than to spoil the rest. So it shall be said. So it shall be said. They wanted to hear tantalizing issues, stories that make them laugh, to see men jumping on the pulpit and gather, fill themselves with mesmerism from dramatical and theatrical preaching, which is filled with no truth, void, the repetition of words again and again and again and again. I speak the word of truth. This prophecy is true. If it tarries, wait for it. If it seems not to come, wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Shalom, shalom. Jave. Bless thee. Shalom, shalom, Jave. Bless thee. Yeah, this guy is getting chubby. I'm gonna edit this video though. Later on, I think we'll make it a shorter one.